Hey everybody, how's it going? Guys, Kash, Patel, and Bongino are now working with the FBI. Essentially, they are leading the FBI to investigate James Comey's surveillance of Donald Trump during the 2016 campaign. Literally, guys, not even a week on the job, and they are going after the corruption. They have evidence that they were working with the Hillary Clinton campaign to release the Russian collusion hoax, which, remember, Kash Patel was debunked. On top of that, as this happened, this is what they found. 2 undercover FBI agents reportedly infiltrated Trump's 2016 campaign to act as honeypots while traveling with Trump. The Washington Times now reports that Patel and Dan Bongino are looking for those employees and are ready to bring all the evidence public. Guys, this is insane news. Finally, Trump, they targeted him since 2016, and he's finally getting the justice he deserves for all the lies, all the things they tried to take him out with to remove him from being president and impeach him, all this stuff. Justice is being served. Let's go. On top of that, Trump also signed an executive order today revoking the security clearances of employees from Covington and Burling LLP. This is a law firm associated with former special counsel Jack Smith. This is everything having to do with their investigations. Everybody that had contact, they're all gone. They have not only lost the clearance, they can't go do anything with the White House, with the government anymore. Not only that, Patel, Bongino, and Bondi will be investigating Jack Smith to see every bit of part that he was doing in working with Biden and them trying to do these special targeted cases against Trump. 2 guys, Comey, Jack Smith, and even throwing in Biden in there, guys. Holy smokes. And President Donald Trump has announced a new immigration program termed the gold card. We're not doing the green cards anymore. You know Trump, he likes his gold. Have you ever seen Mar-a-Lago? This is now offering the gold card, which offers wealthy foreigners a path to citizenship for a payment of $5 million. So guys, oh yeah, can't forget this because I got to show you this. Representative Joe Wilson is now pushing for a $250 Trump paper bill. So we got $100 with old Ben Franklin. Now they say we want a $250 Trump bill. Guys, how crazy would that be? We got so much breaking news, guys. Trump is just bulldozing all these people. Say thank you to all of our subscribers, to all of our viewers. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Let us take care of you every day with the top news. And thank you to everybody that is a member, guys, and has given a super chat donation. We are so grateful for your support. We just want to take care of you every day with the top news. And if you don't mind clicking the thumbs up like button, it really does help, guys. Y'all are our sponsors. It helps the channels grow so much. And I want to remind you guys, we're so close right now. If you don't mind, the link is in the description to go join and subscribe our new channel, TrueLife Breaking News, where we're focusing more on short form content. Guys, thank y'all so much for your support. We got a ton to get into today, guys. Holy smokes, this breaking news just happened, guys, literally minutes ago, where the FBI is now going to be looking into James Comey as well as Jack Smith. Holy smokes, because guess what? Your boy Bongino, Deputy Director number 2, is ready to make some stuff happen. Check this out.
Our posts, Chris Murphy, a Democrat senator, says Trump is now spitting in the face of Senate Republicans because he knows he owns them. Bongino's career is conning people that the Dems are a safety threat and selling them junk to prep for war. Do we have any war advertisements in the show today? Justin says we do. Next. Battlefieldwar.com. I don't know what he's talking about. I'm not really, right? I'm not really sure. Owning the libs is a lifestyle, he says. We got a lot of traction out of that. A lot of people still report it. The new FBI Deputy Director, everyone. Thank you, Senator. Appreciate that. And Adam Schiff, with a storied history of telling the truth, of course, selecting another right-wing Fox person. Is he aware I don't have the show on Fox anymore? I'm just curious. Senator, I'm not there anymore. An internet troll You guys get this? Internet troll. Dan Bongino as deputy FBI director means two things. So Adam Schiff's laying it out. Trump installs another loyalist. Oh, I am loyal to the Constitution of the United States, and that's why President Trump picked me.
Right there, baby.
So loyalist, yeah, to the Constitution. I think he misses that. Who won't say no to any immoral or unethical act. Any immoral. Right, exactly. See, now you're thinking. That's I don't know how he knows that. I'm unsure. And our law enforcement agencies are further degraded. So there you go. There's some of the latest commentary on this selection. But moving on, Benny Johnson had an interesting guest on his show. He's been having a lot of success with it. Benny had an FBI whistleblower on, and they were talking about this specific thing. And I took a look at it yesterday on X, and interesting commentary to say the least. But check this out.
Is that there are FBI servers that are sort of standalone, and people inside the FBI have been working night and day to destroy files on these servers. And I was told that once these files are destroyed, the way they are set up, that even Elon Musk could not restore them.
So you see why President Trump and Attorney General Bondi, again, these are allegations like anything else, but Attorney General Bondi and FBI Director Patel, along with people throughout government in President Donald Trump selected appointed positions, are very concerned with people losing trust and faith in institutions. Folks, these allegations are everywhere. It's where the USAID story came from as well. Just the news before it was shuttered, USAID routed funds to Soros-aligned causes, terrorists, and drag queens. Folks, again, the liberal narrative lately has been billionaires are really terrible, awful people. We hate Elon Musk. It's kind of fascinating that when it comes to allegations about other billionaires, as long as the politics align, they seem to be just A-okay with all of this stuff. Here's Brianna Morello, who I recommend a follow on X, that does some really fascinating reporting. She has an exclusive there that the TSA under Joe Biden focused on speeding up checkpoints for illegal aliens without IDs, not national security. Wait, keep this up a second. Because the guys and I, of all the stories today, this is the one I think elicited the most interest with these guys. Imagine this, you're going, you got to take your shoes off, throw your perfume out. I had a small jar of peanut butter one time because I like natural peanut butter to eat when I'm hungry. I had to throw that out. You have to chuck all that stuff out. Yet Brianna notes in the tweet that during the Biden administration, expediting TSA security checkpoints took precedence over national security concerns. They were the acceptable ID documents apparently for you are not the same for people who had violated our immigration law. There is a two-tiered system in this country, but you're not on the side of it that's winning. Elon, of course, has become the subject of just projection again. So yesterday was kind of my turn in the media meat grinder, where they all had to take their shots with their election denier, conspiracy theory, ridiculous bullet points, right? But Elon, who was a hero to the left for a long time, when Elon and his companies practically reinvented the car market, space travel, all of a sudden, Elon is public enemy number one, folks. This Elon sent out with the Doge and this Department of Government Efficiency, it wasn't from Elon directly. The Department of Government Efficiency, so we're clear, are government employees, folks. The President of the United States has the power to appoint people. He is the unitary executive. The powers in Article 2 are vested. I can't say this enough. You have a Constitution at home. Take a look at it now. In a president. Read what the Constitution says. A president. Not many presidents, not a president in the bureaucracy. All of the executive powers are vested in, quote, a president. If the president, as the commander-in-chief and head of the executive office of the president, because he's the president, chooses it.
Guys, thank you so much for your support. I want to say thank you to T Heavy Guy for gifting 5 True Life News memberships. Y'all show T Heavy Guy some love in the chat. And Tammy Fields for the super chat. Thank you so much. Guys, if you don't mind clicking the thumbs up like button and showing some love to our friends in the chat.
A group of government employees, the Doge people, and they then implement his agenda, and they ask a simple question via email. Some departments have involved in national security and others. Some have, but the freak out over this thing was completely not commensurate. All he asked was, what'd you do? With media people, there's two different sets of rules sometimes. When Bill Clinton, Al Gore, and Barack Obama spoke, Democrats, of course, all of them, two presidents and one candidate, spoke at length about government efficiency, task forces to clean up government efficiency. They were lauded by the media. Look, the Democrat Party, big government's good, but we got to make it leaner and meaner. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and the Doge are doing nothing different. And the hysterical commentary over this, put out the tweet about people being fired. You guys had no problem on the left whatsoever when people in the military, people in the FBI, people in law enforcement, people all throughout government at the state, federal, and local level were fired for not taking the COVID vaccine. 10,000, tens of thousands of hardworking Americans. And in the private sector, too, got laid off. The media for the vaccine or let go. Media was crickets on it.
They didn't say anything. And guess what? Now, Trump is getting back, guys. And you would say, like, no, he shouldn't be taking revenge or not. No. He is exposing all the fraud, the deep state, everything that's been there for God knows how long. He is exposing that to the American people, and he's going to show how they manipulated the system. They 100% went after him, and now the FBI is looking into James Comey off the books honeypot operation where they literally sent spies into Trump's campaign to infiltrate, get intel, and all that. And that's just the beginning, guys. This broke now that Trump has also signed the executive order stripping the security clearances from the law firms tied to Jack Smith's cases. So he's cleaning house. He's making sure every loose end is tied. He's making sure that, hey, when you tried to come after me, and I'm going to show you the video in a moment, guys, they targeted him. And he said, nobody's been targeted like me. And I want to make sure that this never happens again. And that's what I love. It's not that, no, I want to make sure this doesn't happen to me again. It shouldn't happen to anybody. Regardless if you're a Republican or Democrat or independent, nobody should be targeted. And I'm glad that he's doing something about it. Like, it literally bothers me every single time that I see how many times we are hearing when it comes to people weaponizing government. Listen to this.
Joins us. Natalie, while we have these big historic movements, there's also the reality against President Trump. And you saw the Harvard poll today that shows the wind to his back in things like Doge, at least for now, and things like trying to cut federal spending, and things like deportations. But the resistance, and they're not having a great run in federal court, although they're trying and they're going to appeal everything. They really haven't won much. So the Color Revolution crowd may be their last line of defense. You've got some great updates on all of that. Natalie Winters, our White House correspondent. Ma'am.
Yeah, I want to unironically quote the New York Times, which we very rarely do here in the War Room, but in a piece sort of updating on all the resistance tactics. The New York Times says, quote, so far, President Trump and his administration have largely steamrolled the opposition. But of course, we want to bring you the signal, not noise. And in reading this piece, I think it sort of outlines the chart, the path forward for how they will actively be trying to really undermine President Trump. I think the deportation vertical, like you were talking about, Steve, is one of the key ways that we've seen them actively sabotage what President Trump is planning to do with the mass deportations. Why do I say that? There, of course, has been the ongoing investigation and probe into how people who work at the FBI were actively leaking information prematurely about those ICE raids that were going on in Los Angeles. But to sort of drill down, in this story, it talks about how a lot of these 20,000 or so federal workers, despite being forced out of their offices, I'm sure you've all seen the glorious pictures of them holding the boxes and crying, they're now all sort of coordinating and collaborating, using what they're calling encrypted messaging applications, setting up sort of alternative social media accounts, to be able to plan what they say is, quote, future actions. Now, they leave it vague. It's not necessarily indicated what they're talking about, but later in the piece, they invoke Mark Zaid. They quote him, who is, of course, the infamous whistleblower attorney, the first impeachment kind of legal extraordinaire. And I want to read a quote from him because in terms of understanding where they go from here, they are so pressed up against a wall. The only option that they have is essentially to leak documents to try to get back at President Trump, like they were doing, for example, right, with the ICE raids in Los Angeles. Mark Zaid saying, quote, "It's a deterrent to lawful whistleblowing. The pathetic irony is that it's encouraging people to break the law and leak classified information because the system is no longer in place." I don't know about you. These people talk in, smoke signals and coded word. I've never heard something more obvious that they are calling for these people now, since they don't have access to whistleblow, that they want them to be leaking documents and all the documents that these people took with them when they quit their jobs. That's how they'll be attempting to wage war against President Trump. Last point real quick. You are correct, Steve. They're obviously suing President Trump as much as they can on every single executive order. And it sort of seems to be a pattern where President Trump has, the victory for a little bit. Then the usually Obama or Clinton judge steps in, slaps it down for a little bit. It works its way through and it ultimately gets resolved. But on some of these issues, like right now, the NIH funding, the DEI stuff, and some of the deportation stuff, particularly today, it's breaking about being able to conduct raids in churches. They are having some temporary victories on that front.
Yeah, tell people you've got a great term that you've used. What do you mean when you say that a lot of these folks are embeds? Because you have 2.5 million, and the Doge guys are doing a good job, but so far, that's essentially been onesies, twosies. I think, overall, maybe, I don't know, count up with the people that took early retirement, I think they said 25 to 40,000. There's probably another 20,000 that, at least if you just add them up, have been let go, maybe higher than that, but let's say it's under 100,000 of the 2.5 to 3 million federal employees. What do you mean by embeds, and how dangerous is that for President Trump and his team of 3,000 or 4,000 total that are trying to change the direction of this American empire, ma'am?
Well, look, we get very analytical. We focus on linguistics here in the war room. And the term embed, just like unelected bureaucrat, is very key to this debate. Because if you follow the mainstream media's coverage of this concept, the mass firings, what is the word that they are rinsing, and repeating? It's civil service, civil service, civil service, right? They hate the term unelected bureaucrat. I sort of put it through the paradigm of like undocumented immigrant and illegal alien, right? That's now the new linguistic battle. And the framing of it, these people as unelected bureaucrats or embeds, I think speaks to the idea of someone like Mark Zaid, who is essentially a pipeline where they view all these federal employees not as people who are serving the American people. We saw that on display, full display, right during the first impeachment of President Trump. These are people who have their own conceptions, their own ideas, their own sort of Washington consensus of what policies should be. And anytime that something deviates from that, they sort of have these off ramps, these like premeditated ways that they can go about and skirt the system to circumvent whether it's President Trump or whatever populist sort of system-wrecking candidate may be in place. And I also think, too, Steve, it's important to underscore that the deep state, the permanent political class, the in-your-face state, however you want to couch it, the federal employees are just sort of one leg of that stool, right? It's people who are on the outside who are equally important. So what Doge is doing is wonderful in getting rid of these people, but these are sort of the front men, right? The actual players are the Norm Eisens of the world, the Mark Zaids of the world, and I think that's why USAID touched such a nerve. But in some, I think what you're talking about, and frankly, to link it back to what you saw go on today with, Macron, the meeting that they had, you're seeing a reformulation, much like they're talking about, right, abolishing the DOE, abolishing all these agencies. You're abolishing the civil service deep state idea of what it means for Americans to be an American abroad, right? We are abolishing the globalist conception of what America is, because we've realized we can't reform it, just like we can't reform the DOE, the FBI. They've been weaponized. They are designed to destroy this country. And that is why everything that you're seeing go on today is so historic, right? You're reformulating what it means to be America on the world stage. And the USAID stuff was the first flashpoint in that.
Wow.
Yeah. Very powerful. CNN had a story today, the lead story this morning, that really took my breath away. they were talking about in either the Doge and or the John Ratcliffe, Tulsi Gabbard rethinking of the intel. And really, as you know, we really want to go after the deep state, that it could leave so many people that had classified information out there to be a national security threat to the United States. And I thought, wow, are they actually saying that out loud? I mean, it's pretty stunning that the holding us hostage to actually taking apart the administrative state or the deep state, because they're saying, hey, these people have so much information, so much knowledge how the government works, and so much in the CIA case, so much highly classified information that they could be a threat to national security.
Guys, do y'all realize FBI's leaking documents? FBI is doing what? Leaking about the ICE raids. We showed you this earlier on the show today. FBI agents busted destroying server evidence about the Jeffrey Epstein and the JFK assassination files. We just found out, and I'm going to do a bigger story on this tomorrow, about how long they've been doing this. And it's bad, guys. And we just got news, guys, this literally came out a couple of hours ago, that Tulsi Gabbard, our new director of national intelligence, said the memo is sent. We know who they are. Action is underway. Guys, they are trying to cover stuff up. This is real right now, of the amount of corruption that is trying to be covered up. They're literally deleting and smashing servers and burning them and doing all this stuff. And we're going to, like I said, do a deep dive tomorrow. But it is so telling. These people should serve, because right now, it's only a 3-year sentence for destroying evidence, like what they're doing right now. It needs to be upped. And they need to send a message that you do not go and destroy what everybody is wanting to know, and you're trying to protect some of these deep state people that are in the government. Thank you so much, Patty Razor, for the super chat. Let's go. First timer, as well as Bonnell Anderson, who said Patel and Bongino need to lock them all up. 100%. Y'all show Patty and Bonnell some love in the chat. And guys, thank you so much for your support. If you don't mind clicking the thumbs up like button, it really helps out so much. So guys, we're showing you there's deep insiders trying to destroy evidence. What does the American people say? They're in favor of what Trump is doing. And now the Democrats are trying to double down. But what is Trump doing? He's signing more executive orders. Check this out.
President Trump holding court in the Oval Office right now, telling the press that he's pretty much negotiated a deal with Ukraine on rare earth minerals to end the war there, and that Zelensky might be visiting the White House on Friday. He also announced what he's calling gold cards that will get wealthy foreigners to create jobs in America. Meanwhile, could Sleepy Joe ever do this?
And I heard you were here, and I said, let's stop by and say hello. It's a group of very smart-looking people, I must say. Have fun, everybody.
President Trump surprising guests during the first White House tour of the year. 47 got that charm and easygoing vibe. No wonder his popularity keeps climbing. A whopping 52% approve of Trump's second term. He's even performing well with key groups he's struggled with at various points. Hispanics, women, and even the burbs are liking what they see. The Democrats, on the other hand, are at the most unpopular they've been in decades. They don't have a Trump, but they do have a raging case of Trump derangement syndrome. And boy, has it got him saying some really weird stuff.
You could pee on my leg, but don't tell me it's rain. And Trump is raining on America.
We are in the middle of a ketamine-fueled, middle-of-the-night, autocratic power grab.
President Trump has been more of a chaos agent over the last few weeks and not shown any interest whatsoever in dealing with the unaffordability.
It's become really hard to have an intellectual debate with any of these people because the level of stupidity that they are displaying every single day is frankly embarrassing.
Are voters having voters' remorse already? I think so, and it's going to keep building given what he's doing. But chaos is up, corruption is up, and costs are up.
Frank Luntz is telling the Democrats maybe tone down all that resistance stuff.
The Democrats are wrong.
by talking about resistance, because the public doesn't want resistance. They simply want these things done efficiently, effectively, and with accountability.
Do the Democrats have the humility to work with Donald Trump on things the voters want?
Not yet. We'll see. I mean, there might be a few, but they're not stepping up. And certainly, you don't even see it with governors, for example, right? The sanctuary city states or the sanctuary states, or the governors who might say, gosh, you know what? Education is a really big issue. And I noticed today there was a big protest in Washington, D.C. Who was leading it? The American Federation of Teachers. And if I were Democrats, this would be a great moment for a Democrat to say, oh, no, you're the ones who took all the COVID money and you didn't go to school and you kept schools closed. And now you look at what's happened in our, especially in the blue states. Look what happened in the blue states. Our scores are down for our kids. This is not good enough. This is a civil rights issue of our time. And you could see somebody, I can imagine it. I can just see some Democrat figuring out a way to do this and say education is going to be the way we bring things back. But they are going to have to be willing to buck their own left wing if they were going to do that. I don't see that happening. The other thing is, like on The View, when they're talking to Amy Klobuchar, I don't know what polls they're reading that suggest that voters are getting tired. If you look at anything on immigration, crime, and maybe on the economy, people are saying, oh, what's going on here? But they do feel like the country's going in a much better direction. And when it comes to Republicans, the approval is sky high. And then you go on someplace like The View, and they're trying to apply the standards of a normal person to somebody who said, I'm not going to be a normal president. I'm there to, upset the apple cart. And that's what he's doing. And the people seem to like it. So I think Frank Luntz is right. It kind of echoes what James Carville said, which is just slow your roll for a second and get your act together before you make fools of yourselves.
52%, Judge, for a Republican president, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's pretty good. And, it's 70% of the American people who say that he is following through on the promises he made. And the amazing thing, and Dana just referenced this, is the fact that women, independents, Hispanics, and Asians, and the suburbanites that he won in the election, he is maintaining them. So they're looking at President Trump and they're saying they voted for him for this reason, and by gosh, he's actually delivering on what he said he was going to do. But I think that Frank Luntz is right, James Carville is right, Stephen A. is right. This resistance, this constitutional crisis, whatever it is, there is no message in this resistance. There is no policy in this resistance. It's the same old, we've got to just make sure that Trump doesn't succeed. And, it makes no sense when ordinary Americans have to maintain their own checkbook and their own budget, and yet the government doesn't, and we have to pay for it. That's what Americans are seeing. And, for some reason, the Dems just are not getting it. And when you hear Rachel Maddow and Amy Klobuchar, when Rachel Maddow claims there's some kind of, ketamine-fueled power grab, you think she's talking about Hunter Biden. And then you've got, Klobuchar who talks about chaos and corruption and costs are up. She's describing the Biden years. And they've got nothing else to hang on to. Donald Trump, as we saw him greeting those people as they walked into the White House, not expecting to see him. He's a man who's bigger than life, and he makes people feel that he cares about them when he's talking to them, and now he cares about the economy.
Maybe, Greg, but you could see Donald Trump keeping this level of support for a while. I mean, you got the State of the Union coming up. You could do the Ukraine deal in the spring.
No question at all. I got to hand it to Frank Luntz there. He always has the most blunt, thoughtful analysis. But I might add, animals are great, not as a hairpiece. I love Trump greeting the tourists. When Biden would walk out during these White House tours, it was always by accident, and his robe was always open. This is pure Trump. So much has flipped. And it's not left versus right. It's inside and outside. So for the longest time, America has been on the outside of all politics. Only a few precious elites were on the inside. They knew how things worked. They knew where the money went. They knew who got paid, who didn't. So you have this profound transparency where this guy's everywhere, but also the spontaneity of it, right? It has completely turned the table. So what inside is outside and what outside is inside. Isn't that great? The Americans are on the inside. Doge is leading the way with its colonoscope, showing you everything. And as it's showing you everything, You have a constant director's commentary going on, telling you what's behind the scenes. Oh, did you see this? Did you see that? Everybody on the outside, the elites, the bureaucratic rent seekers, they all got their faces planted up against the windows going, no, don't show them that. Don't show them that. That's mine. That's mine. But America is there. America loves this government enema, and we have courtside seats, which is why we should wear tarps. Okay, now I'm going to answer your question.
Guys, let me tell you this. I love it. And I want to remind everybody, the reason I'm 100% okay with Bongino, Patel going after Comey, investigating Jack Smith, doing all this stuff is because of this. The IRS, remember, apologized. This was in 2017. Apologized for aggressive scrutiny of conservative groups. Guys, this is happening for a long time. They've been doing this for a while. And what bothers me is that it got worse, especially during COVID. They silenced so many people, guys. It was horrible. You couldn't say anything about Trump, COVID, or whatnot. They went after moms at school board meetings. It was insane how the government was weaponized. But know what? Trump is cleaning house. Want to say, guys, if you don't mind clicking the thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much, Lay Lewis, for the super chat. Said, I'll be glad when all the Dems held accountable for this mess they created. 100%. I cannot wait for the first federal court where they say, look, you were targeting, you weaponized government, and now you're being held accountable. And thank you so much, Mr. Tracy J. Norby, for the super chat. Let's go, brother. He said, past time America kicks butt. We're not rulers. We're peaceful and not wanting wars. It's not the Biden sleepwalker or weekend at Bernie guy. Let's go. Y'all show Mr. Norby some love in the chat, guys. We're about to, guys, we're already there. We're living in a new age of America right now. The exposure of everything. And what I love, guys, is what you're about to hear next. Our girl, Marjorie Taylor Greene, is going after them. Like, we're done with all the cover-ups. We're done with them wasting taxpayer money. Listen to this.
And control of basically all government functions for the American people. We are at $36 trillion in debt, and the lies are getting to be outrageous. Just listen to one of my colleagues talk about Medicaid. The truth is, for people watching at home, your Medicaid benefits cannot get cut unless the governor of your state and the state cuts your benefits. That's the real truth. Republicans here in Washington, here in Congress, we are not taking away anyone's Medicaid benefits. As a matter of fact, we're trying to cut out improper payments. We're trying to cut out fraud. At my Doge subcommittee, I had a hearing just 2 weeks ago where we talked about improper payments. It is unbelievable, and I'm sure you would agree, Mr. Dodaro, that the amount of money that's being paid to dead people, to foreigners, to criminals, to terrorists is amounting in the billions and billions of dollars every single year. That's what Democrats and Republicans should be agreeing on. We should be able to come together and say, let's stop this immediately. Another thing that I find outrageous is that Democrats under the Biden administration passed $7.5 billion in spending to build 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations all over the country, whether Americans wanted them or not. But only 8 of these electric vehicle charging stations even got built. I think that should have been in your top 25 list, because where's that money? Honestly, where is that money? That's a great question. Some other things that I'd like to bring up to you here is GOA estimates that total fraud in these programs for unemployment insurance, and you were just talking about it, during the pandemic is at least $60 billion. Americans all over the country will never forget that Democrats shut our country down, shut our businesses down. People got fired. Their churches was closed. All their rights were taken away. And $60 billion from the Department of Labor. The Department of Labor has still not developed an anti-fraud strategy, even though $60 billion is missing. Also, the Medicare program and scale of Medicare spending is innately high risk, with the program spending an estimated $1 trillion in 2024. Of that, in fiscal year 2024, we saw roughly, I'll go back to improper payments again, $54.3 billion in improper payments. And we have Democrats crying over Elon Musk. Are you kidding me? The American people, the polling is out, 72%. Democrats and Republicans support Doge. Support it, 72%. They are not upset about anything that Elon Musk is doing. As a matter of fact, they're happy. They want their 50, they want all these improper payments, all of this waste, they want it back. Now, here's what's really interesting to me. Despite this significant progress made since GOA's 2023 high-risk update, thank you for that, USPS remains unable to fund its services and employee obligations. That's outrageous. Private companies have to be able to fund everything they do, but the United States Postal Service still can't do it. Now, the big one, the Department of Defense Financial Management first appeared on the high-risk list in 1995. 1995. Hey, I graduated from high school in 1992. That's a long time ago. Now, and it remains on this list 28 years later. 28 years later, Congress hasn't fixed this. The Department of Defense hasn't fixed this. And last year, the Pentagon, with a budget of around $850 billion, failed its seventh straight audit. What are we doing? What are we doing? We should be at the most bipartisan time in history where Republicans and Democrats can.
Guys, you know what I love most of all about this is that she is calling everybody out and she's talking like a normal person. A normal person says, where's the $1 trillion going? Where are we spending it? This is not our money. This is taxpayers. But you get these Democrats over here and they think that they own everything. They think it's their money and they're entitled to do whatever they want with it. And I would just want to say, I am so in favor of this woman, Marjorie Taylor Greene, getting up in the ranks and taking over some more leadership positions.
Come together and say the American people's money is being stolen. It is being lost. It is outright treason to treat the American people this way. Mr. Dodaro, I'm sorry. Let me ask you this question. And I can't imagine all the things you all have seen in your work. Do you disagree with the effort of Doge?
There's probably nobody in the government that wants the government to be more efficient and effective than we do at the GAO, and I do personally. Mm-hmm. That's our job to help do that. And we've worked many, many years in order to bring about those changes. So yes, now there's a couple of bipartisan things that you touched on that I think you and your committee, this committee could do. Mm-hmm. One is we've recommended that they make, in order to stop paying dead people, the Social Security master death file is given to Treasury, but only for a 3-year period. They've already saved millions of dollars. Congress needs to make it permanent. You could save hundreds of millions of dollars if that's done.
Can I get information from your team afterward? Okay, that'd be great.
And
what about identity verification?
Identity verification needs to be more automated, and we have recommendations for that to occur in the unemployment insurance area. Actually, the unemployment insurance estimate on fraud we made was $100 billion to $135 billion.
Wow.
The other thing that could be done on a bipartisan basis is that the statute of limitations to go after the fraudsters needs to be extended from 5 to 10 years. Mm-hmm. Congress did it for the Paycheck Protection Program, but not for unemployment insurance. It's almost due to expire. So if Congress doesn't act soon, some of the fraudsters are likely to get away because they'll be outside the statute of limitations. So those things are really important.
Guys, let me tell you this. Do you see what is happening? Like, this is so insane. And what I'm about to show you next, I cannot even believe this is about to happen. So, Trump signed an executive order that mandates clear, accurate, and actionable healthcare pricing. Guys, do y'all realize how many times you go to the hospital to go get anything done, and all you get is a bill, and it's just one line item? They don't itemize anything. They don't do anything. They just send you one line item and they expect you to pay it and not say anything about it. Like, now we're about to see such big change because of RFK in there, who's actually wanting to put the American people first and give us transparency. Like, how amazing is that? To actually see line by line. Trust me, guys, I had twins. And our bill came out to like $40-some thousand. Thank God for health insurance. But at the same time, too, whenever we looked at how much we owed after, you know, it was still over $10,000. But then we couldn't even get anything when it came to the itemization or how much did this cost? How much did that cost? And they won't tell you. And now that it literally took Trump signing an executive order to hold these people accountable, there's so much wasted money in healthcare. And it's all, remember, when you go, they don't want you to eat healthier. They don't want you to exercise. They want to put you on medication and then they want to send you on the way and get you in the system. Guys, I am 33 years old. I went and had my heart checked. I had everything, did a whole physical. They said, "Oh man, your blood pressure is a little high. We're going to have to put you on medication." I said, "But what about my other test?" "Oh, well, we checked your heart. Man, we haven't seen anybody with such a low heart rate. Your resting heart rate is like 44 beats per minute." "Wow. Oh yeah, and your other tests are phenomenal, but because of that blood pressure, we got to put you on this medication." I said, "No, let me go do it the natural way." I'm so happy that we're finally getting some disruptors that are going to put American people first and going to actually care about people's well-being and not just be so focused on trying to get you in the system to do what? To make you what? Live on medication for the rest of your life? No, to live healthier. And guys, it's now or never. Like, check this out. What I'm about to show you guys, I'm telling you, this is that we're about to have a showdown like nobody's business. Check this out.
Warning from Elon Musk, quote, "The standard for passing the test was to type some words and press send."
Guys. sorry, I thought it was showing. Oh, and also too, if you don't mind, guys, clicking the thumbs up like button. I really appreciate your support so much. Sorry, let me get this.
Warning from Elon Musk, quote, "The standard for passing the test was to type some words and press send. Yet so many failed. Subject to the discretion of the president, they will be given another chance. Failure to respond a second time will result in termination." Bureaucrats in Washington are getting a second chance. If you haven't told Doge what you did last week, you have until tonight.
It's somewhat voluntary, but it's also, if you don't answer, I guess you get fired. What it really is do people exist? We have this massive government with millions of people, and nobody knows who's working for the government, who's not. So what they're doing is they're sending out a letter to everybody, and they're saying, "What were the things you did last week?" I guess they ask for 5. And if people are working, it's easy. I could tell you 5 things I did last week. I could tell you 5 things I did 6 weeks ago, right?
1 million workers sent in their bullet points. That's about half the federal government. So 1 million employees blew off Musk. It's been 72 hours for something that takes 5 minutes.
I could name 5 things, 5 bullets, in about 5 minutes of me coming into the office every day. If you struggle to do that for a week, there's no excuse for that. Now, you can have an extra day to answer it, but you better be able to answer it.
I gave the primetime staff 18 hours for their 5 bullets, and they all met the deadline. Here are some of my staff's accomplishments. Unjammed the printer after Johnny clogged it printing headshots. Transcribed 3 hours of Monica Lewinsky's podcast. Watched 4 hours of Iraqi Sesame Street. Got yelled at on the phone by James Carville. Booked America's heartthrob, Stephen Miller. Called 12 farmers who killed their chickens because Biden told them to.
What?
Skipped lunch 5 days in a row producing the monologue. Maha. It's demanding work at prime time, so after careful review, no one's getting doged. Although Johnny's 5 bullets were troubling, and I'll share those in the window. People are taking the bullet points seriously. The commissioner of the FCC said, "I'll show you what I did last week. Watch."
All right, made it to the top with Hassan and his crew. They're swapping out the lighting system up here. Wonderful day with them. America's tower crews get the toughest jobs done. super grateful for their work.
You have to be grateful. Maybe you didn't climb a power line or ice some illegals, but you've got to send your boss something. If you don't respond, it means you did nothing. Or as Trump says, maybe you don't exist. Here's what one former federal worker says is an average day in the office.
80% of the work in government is done by 20% of the people. Our government is filled with the most incompetent and most lazy people and an occasional hard worker. And those hard workers are severely punished every time they outwork their colleagues. I use the word work very loosely. One employee spent his time remote working, running his own farm. One employee would come into the office, his start time would be 6:30, and he knew nobody would be there. And when I came in at 7:30 and I was the next person to come in, he was snoring at his desk every single morning. Another employee would take the government truck on an almost daily basis so that he could go out to lunch and then go and take a nap in his favorite park under a shady tree in the government truck.
Wow. And those people, they showed up at the office. Last week at the Small Business Administration, 80% of the workers were still working from home. Over the weekend, that flipped.
On Friday, it was like there were tumbleweeds blowing through the office. There were still tags left on desk chairs. And it was my first full day at the agency, and I was so excited to be able to meet people. And to not find anyone there was disappointing. To have 80% of the people back yesterday was amazing, to be able to shake hands. And what's happening is Americans are seeing that they have been paying for empty office buildings, for do-nothing bureaucrats. That ends now.
All they had to do was ask the bureaucrats to come back. It was so easy, even Biden could do it. But he didn't. Biden actually fired people who wanted to come into the office, the ones who wouldn't get vaxxed. For 4 years, Joe never tried to save the taxpayers' money. The CEO of JP Morgan says it's common sense.
The government's inefficient, not very competent, and it needs a lot of work. And so you and I, it's not just waste and fraud, it's outcomes. Why are we spending the money on these things? Are we getting what we deserve? You know, what should we change? So I think doing that needs to be done. I also, you have to understand that whenever you go into any big institution or the government, the bureaucracy pushes back on everything. And they will hear every little thing they're going to push back on. So you have to be strong if you're going to do it. It's not just about the deficit. It's about building the right policies, procedures, and the government we deserve.
Doge has already saved you $65 billion. Big Balls just found $35 million for social and behavior change in Uganda. We can't change our behavior in America. Look at the airports. You think you're going to change behavior in Uganda? We're giving the Europeans $70 million for digital transformation. The Europeans are rich because they don't pay for their militaries. They rely on ours. We shouldn't be giving foreign aid to Europe at all. We give them enough. Our software is from the 60s. We're the ones who need a digital transformation. This isn't even real foreign aid. This is just money for grifters. It all winds up in the hands of rent-seeking consultants. Just look at the VA.
You got to see this. I've been giving this report. It says we were taking millions of contracts in dollars in contracts to create things like PowerPoint slide and meeting minutes. Folks, if you don't know how to run PowerPoint slides, learn. It's a tutorial on your computer. Go learn for free. We're not paying millions of dollars for consultants to do this for us.
You kidding me? Last year, the Biden administration gave $7 million to a nonprofit called Ocean Conservancy. Who works with Ocean Conservancy? Consultant Sandra Whitehouse, wife of Democrat Senator Sheldon Whitehouse. Senator Whitehouse just happened to vote for the bill that gave his wife the money. And Miss Sheldon Whitehouse has made a lot of money working with Ocean Conservancy, $2.7 million. And this is a nonprofit. Well, she's profited. And so is the senator, since they share a bank account. Sheldon Whitehouse basically took your money and gave it to himself. What does Miss Sheldon Whitehouse nonprofit even do? They pick up trash on the beach. And they advocate for ocean justice. $7 million for that. A watchdog group's now calling for an ethics investigation into not-so-young Sheldon and his oceanic wife. What do you think Sheldon thinks of Doge?
I would analogize this to a smash and grab robbery. And speed is to your advantage when you're the smash and grab robber. And doing as much destruction as you can quickly is to your advantage when you're the smash and grab robber.
Shelley Shell thinks Musk's stealing from him and his wife because they got caught lining their pockets. It's that backwards. But when your business was smash and grab during the riots, the senator didn't say jack. Everyone defending the pork looks guilty.
If you could speak directly to Elon Musk, what would you say?
Off. Jasmine Crockett, not to be confused with Davy, is angry the train is running out of gravy. To them, finding fraud is like firing shots at Fort Sumter.
You understand the scale of the threat, and you have ideas about how to interrupt what feels like something that we have not experienced since the Civil War in terms of the threat to our republic.
Well, it's certainly the case that we understand the scale of the threat. Our communities have been under siege, as you pointed out, since before the Civil War. I'm a direct descendant of those very communities, so we understand the struggle, the history.
Maybe this is like the Civil War, because Jon Stewart last night got wounded.
It would be embarrassing if it was a small drop in the bucket and that the American people didn't expect that we should negotiate for all their drugs because we've already paid for it with our subsidies. Come on! I'll be going to the hospitals.
And now the Democrats are getting caught staging protests. Last week, the media latched onto a few town hall protests in Republican districts. Run-of-the-mill Republican voters allegedly yelling at congressmen about Doge. But according to the Free Beacon, these weren't run-of-the-mill Republicans. They were Democrat activists organized by Soros-funded groups. They were AstroTurf to create fake blowback against big balls. A majority of the country loves them some Doge.
Ain't that the truth?
Nearly every one of President Trump's policy initiatives are receiving strong majority support. And I have noted that in every briefing since Inauguration Day. 76% of Americans support the Doge-led efforts of a full-scale investigation to find and eliminate fraud and waste in government expenditures. Again, this is from a Harvard-Harris poll, a very legitimate pollster.
Maybe Democrats should just take some advice from the Raging Cajun. With no clear leader to voice our opposition and no control in any branch of government, it's time for Democrats to embark on the most daring.
Guys, let me tell you this. Do y'all see the amount of corruption that is being found? Like FBI looking into James Comey now. We literally have the FBI agents who were literally destroying evidence. And if you didn't get to see this earlier, guys, FBI agents busted destroying server evidence for the Jeffrey Epstein JFK assassination files. We had Tulsi Gabbard who came out and said, the memo is sent, we know who they are, action is underway. And this right here is just 100% accountability, letting us know what the heck is going on, guys. I want to say thank you so much, Andy, for the super chat. He said Trump should close all the departments that have deep state files and put all the archives under military lockdown. 100%. We see that they're literally having people going and destroying these files. On top of that, thank you so much, Mr. Norby, for the super chat. He said, but America, let's go. Crayola all the way. Vote them demos out of the office if you have the strength to do it. Let's go. Y'all show Mr. Norby and Andy some love in the chat. That we're living in an inflection point right now. That there's a lot of Americans that they're looking at the government and saying, you know what? Holy crap. There is a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse. Holy crap. They were weaponizing government. Holy smokes. They were doing this to target Trump. Everything that Trump said was true. Trump even today was signing hats that literally said, I was right about everything. Literally, how is it so crazy that everything that we thought we knew was fake? The government has been stealing from us. They've been, these political elites, whenever they sent off, I think it was, $4 billion to Haiti in 2010, that only 2% of that money went to the Haitians. 56% of it went to political elites in Washington, D.C. All this stuff is being uncovered. And I hope that every single person, and that's why I appreciate, guys, when you share these videos, when you like these videos, because they get more exposure, because everybody needs to know this corruption. Everybody needs to know that there has been a deep state that has been screwing over Americans for a very, very long time. And it is about dang time that it stops. Because right now, guys, one of the biggest things that they're hitting is Medicare, the health services. And we're going to be seeing a lot of negative news from the left-wing media outlets over how Elon and Trump are literally cutting Medicare. They're cutting the fraud, waste, and abuse, guys. Listen to this.
All right, you want to know why health insurance, Medicaid, all these things, all these social programs are so darn expensive? One, the people regulating them have absolutely no idea what they're doing, outside of like a handful of people. And by handful, I mean like maybe 6 to 7 people in the whole federal government, elected or not. Those are the only people that actually understand what they're regulating here. But two, fraud, or at a minimum, a ton of overbilling. And this needs to be the next target of Doge. And that's the intent of Trump's new executive order today, a transparency on healthcare costs. Imagine that. Now, of course, the libs who fight everything Trump does are screaming about any oversight to any of these social programs because that's how they buy votes, with our tax dollars. They've been doing it since LBJ's Great Society that basically made multiple minority generations entirely reliant on government handouts with no path off of them. So Democrats are going to keep fear-mongering to keep that voter base who is reliant on those benefits, even lie to cover up exorbitant fraud. Just in the last 2 weeks, 4 pharmacists in Michigan were all handed sentences between 2 and 10 years for Medicaid or Medicare, private insurance fraud, conspiring about, amounting to like $13 million.
Holy smokes.
They basically billed thousands of prescriptions that were never filled while getting paid by our tax dollars. Not a word from Democrats in D.C., by the way. Just more whining about Doge trying to actually prevent that under the banner of Trump's going to take your Medicare. But this example is just like the tip of the iceberg. According to the Justice Department, since March 2007, this program has charged more than 5,800 defendants who have collectively billed federal health care programs and private insurance more than $30 billion. But that's just the outright fraud. This doesn't even include the overbilling in pharmacies and hospitals. Hold my beer. The owner of Forest Park Pharmacy noted this in a recent video that has gone quite viral today.
This medication is called imatinib, and it costs us $7 to buy. We add $10, so you're out the door, $17 with your cancer medication. When Medicare pays for this drug, however, it costs them $2,400. This drug was filled 250,000 times in 1 year for a total of $600 million.
Wow. So I did some.
Guys, this breaks my heart. Because you heard it was cancer medication. Like, this is the amount of corruptness that we've been living in, guys. If you haven't heard this, if you haven't seen this, guys, I hope that I'm showing you all different types of news, the most breaking news of what's happening, because this is mind-blowing. There's always so much news every single day. We can't cover it all. But this right here breaks my heart.
Verifying, and sure enough, according to the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, one of the drugs, he mentioned Gleevec, which is the generic name for the medication he said, was noted to be significantly overpriced. So if the numbers he cites are accurate, which I can't find anything to disprove, just last year alone, the Medicare system overpaid for this drug by $596 million. Again, according to his numbers, it would have only cost $4 million from this guy's pharmacy. Even less if people purchase it directly. I don't even think you can do that. And the reason why they charge so much? Because they can.
Because they can.
And how do they do it? Pay attention.
Well, insurance companies pay a middleman, the pharmacy benefits manager. And that person decides how much that medication is going to cost. Will that medication be covered? All of those questions go through the pharmacy benefits manager. And this person doesn't get paid just a flat fee. They get paid a percentage. So their incentivization is to raise the cost of the medication.
Oh, you need proof? Really make a game out of it. Why don't you just walk into an ER anywhere in America, ask them how much an aspirin costs? They can't tell you until they know if and who insures you.
Who's your
because it
insurance
costs
provider?
different amounts because of these pharmacy benefit managers. A lot of that was outlined in Obamacare, by the way, which is part why insurance costs doubled pretty much overnight. So basically, the law requires these middlemen. By the way, these pharmacies often own the middlemen, and then they get to bill insurance companies sometimes hundreds of times more than the drug is actually worth. I mean, there's tons of examples here. Insulin only costs between $2 and $10 to produce, according to a Very Well Health survey. But consumers, one vial of insulin can cost between $50 and $1,000. It's a huge difference. And according to a House committee investigation, the committee found 300 examples of 3 largest PBMs, these price benefit managers, the price setters, of course, preferring medications that cost at least $500 per claim more than the medication they excluded on their formulary. So just averaging numbers there. If those numbers that that gentleman just identified, a drug with an inflated cost of $596 million annually, and that happened 300 times, like the congressional report said, just in overcharges alone, as the report notes, our Medicare system could be overpaying by $178.8 billion a year, all without breaking the law, mind you. And this is just a fraction of the instances that occurs. How is this legal? Well, hey, I'm glad you asked. The Pharmaceutical Care Management Association, that's the one that oversees these price setters, according to Open Secrets data, have paid over $17 million in 2024 alone in lobbying costs. What do? Oh, that's right. Oh, they fight transparency bills. They actually have a PAC too. And in the 2023-24 cycle, it dropped $73,500 directly to federal candidates, $45,000 to Republicans, $28,500 to Democrats. And the pharmacies that own the companies that decide how much they're going to get paid for their own drugs, I know. This seems like so monumentally conflicted. You're not crazy, okay? But follow me. CVS Health, who owns one of these PBAs, dumped $1.2 million into federal campaigns PAC last year. 2 people like Senator Mitch McConnell and Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer also, Steve Scalise, they all pocketed the max outs of $10,000 apiece from them. United Health Group tossing $1.4 million into PACs that contributed to Marco Rubio, Nancy Pelosi, and many more. Employees and executives chip into those too. The United Healthcare CEO, Stephen Hemsley, gave $50,000 to the United Health PAC in 2022 alone. And what happened? You guys remember that last December, a couple months ago, that spending package that was subject to Doge? It was all these pages and they reduced it down to 106 pages. You know what got deleted from that initial draft? Pharmaceutical benefit managers transparency, to stop you from knowing how much your drugs are costing. Crazy, huh? You see why they want to make healthcare right? Their donors are making loot. United Healthcare Group recently denied a Wall Street Journal report about the DOJ investigation of overcharging, but there's enough evidence for reform here. So before you complain about Trump cutting Medicare libs, think long and hard about.
Guys, this stuff makes me sick. I think of seniors. I think of people that are low income. I think of people that are even middle class that they have to pay more for insurance or whatnot. But it's just mind-blowing that anytime the dang government gets involved with any of our stuff, people take advantage of it. Stuff is happening behind the scenes, and it's mind-blowing. It is so mind-blowing that you have Democrats who literally will fight tooth and nail to protect the gravy train, protect the corruption. And yet we have average Americans who are just trying to live their day-to-day lives that are getting screwed over every single day. It literally, guys, it blows my mind. But thank God for Doge. Thank God for all the people who are actually revealing all these things. Trump, I mean, it is just, I don't see how a person can vote not MAGA, not America First. Forget Republican, because they were in on it too. But MAGA, America First, should be the only way. Thank you so much, Andy, for the super chat. He said, why is the new AG stonewalling the release of the Epstein list, JFK files, and MLK assassinations? Is she waiting for someone to come and shred them? Wow. Y'all show Andy some love in the chat. Guys, thank you to everybody who is watching. Guys, if you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button if you don't mind. clicking the thumbs up like button. It really does help out so much. And guys, don't forget our new channel. The link is in the description. It's called TrueLife Breaking News, focused on short form content. Guys, we're so close. We really want to reach 1,000 subscribers this week. We're so close. Thank you so much for your support. And thank you to everybody that is a member of the channel. Remember, we take our membership dues, we take our super chats, and we donate them to charity. And thank you everybody so much for just being a part of our group, sharing this content. Guys, we bust our butt every day. We want to bring you the best show you as much content as possible so that you know the breaking news of what's going on. I want to give some love to those giving super chats. T Heavy Guy, Tammy Fields, Patty Razor, Bonnell Anderson, Lay Lewis, Mr. Tracy J. Norby for Congress, Andy, Emma Hunter, Connie Young. Guys, y'all show them some love in the chat. We are living in historic times, and I'm so honored to serve you every day with this top news, guys. And just want to say I'm so grateful. Me and my family are so grateful. Remember, we're shooting for March 5th to be our pre-order date for the True Life News t-shirts. I'm so excited, guys. You're going to love them. Such good quality. They're awesome. Love you. Appreciate you. And we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.